Hi there! Today we are going to do some mica drawing. I'm going to do some flowers. The really cool thing about this is that you can do anything. I've done a Northern Lights scene, I've done a beach scene doing this. So the key is to have fun and make whatever you want with it. You don't have to make flowers. You don't have to choose these colors. Like anything else that I make with you guys, there aren't any rules, and you can use your own creative freedom for what you do. My epoxy has been mixed and sitting for about 45 minutes now. The reason that you want it to sit that long is that you want it to be thicker when you do this, because you do not want movement. You don't want the epoxy to be running on the cup. Normally I would have put my base down already and had that spinning on the cup during the 45 minutes, but I had to I had to paint my cup, so I wasn't able to do that. So I'm going to do that really quick, get it based, and then we will get started on the mica drawing. So as you can see, it's going to be a little more difficult to spread this because it's been sitting. So this is going to take a little more muscle strength than usual, which is why I like to put the base on the cup before I let it sit. Don't forget the bottom. So normally it's not going to take this much convincing to get the epoxy to move or spread out on the cup. But sometimes with 4 kids, you just have to roll with whatever happens. So I'm not putting down a thick base. It'll be probably about a total of 12 milliliters of epoxy that's down. You also do not have to use a black base. You can use a white base, you can use a pink base, you can use a blue base, whatever color you want to work with. Now the epoxy that I use is KS Resin Art Ultra UV Epoxy. It has a decently long working time, which is why I let it sit for 45 minutes. Some epoxies, that will not work. You will need to let it sit a shorter amount of time. It's possible with even thinner epoxies, you might need to let it sit.
This is my underprivileged mentee, holla back at you.
Then the 45 minutes. It all comes down to knowing your epoxy, experimenting with what you need to do, what works best. Okay, I think we have this. Okay, I think we're ready to go. I did not use all of the epoxy that I had in this cup for my base. So I can take this glove off now because I won't be touching the epoxy anymore. All right. Now, typically what I use is either one of my stir sticks or I'll use a silicone brush. Either one will work, so you don't need to go out and buy any extra supplies. You can even use a popsicle stick if that's what you use to stir your epoxy. That will also work just fine. All right. So basically what I start doing is I start making dots. Wait for it to come back around.
This is my underprivileged mentee. Holla back at you.
I just make a little cluster of 3. See if I can get this before it goes. Here it comes, here it comes. And then what I do is I just start spreading. And you don't have to make spiky flowers. You can make whatever kind of flowers you want. It's kind of a waiting game. I mean, you could also actually take the cup off so that you can continue just working in the same spot. That is absolutely something that you can do. Then you wouldn't have to fight the spin. I'll do another quick pink flower over here. And this is why you want your epoxy to be decently thickened, because you're going to get gravity working against you. One more petal. Okay, so now we have, actually I'm gonna add one more petal right here. So I just wipe off my tool and move on to my next color. And what I'm going to do over here is I'm just going to do a little cluster of flowers. So basically, you just pick whatever you want to draw. And you go for it. And I want to clarify that I am a terrible drawer. When it comes to drawing, that is not at all my strong suit, but it works decently when I do stuff like this for some reason. So that I just did a half flower there. And I'm going to come down to the bottom and do another half flower. All of the colors that I'm using, I will list in the description. But like I said, you can use whatever colors you would like. So just for fun, I'm going to switch to my stir stick so that you can see how that works. So for the blue, I'm going to spin it back around to my little cluster. It's okay if it's a little messy. There are no points for perfection. So, same thing. So I'm just doing the same motions that I did with the silicone tool. And so what you can do is you can also go back in with these other colors and make little accents in the other flowers, which is kind of fun. Totally up to you. All right. Need to turn it just a little. There we go. All right, so same thing. Pull out those petals. All right. So I'm going to put this back on the turner now. Goodness. It's going to give me some troubles. There we go. All right. And if I see any big bubbles, I just blow on them and pop them. You don't want to use heat because heat is going to make your epoxy move. And when you're doing something like this, you don't want the movement. So I'm going to put one more blue flower over here because we've got a pretty big empty spot. This last one, and then we'll move on to the leaves. And if you see one that's just kind of starting to, if it is starting to move, you can just fix it. So it's your choice. You can hold it and work on it, or you can let it spin and work with the rotation. It's just a few different ways to do it. All right, I'm going to give it one more pass and see where we're at, and then we'll move on to the leaves. All right. So basically for the leaves, I don't do anything fancy. Just find a spot and make some fun leaves. Nothing fancy, a little funky, 'cause that's how I roll. I have a second green just to give some contrast. And again, you can also go in and put in little accents of the other colors. I think it looks really cool when mica colors mix. So again, this is something that's totally personal preference. Just remember this is on the abstract side because I am not I am not an artist when it comes to this. when it comes to drawing. I do think these are fun. And I've had good responses to them. And I'm going to put just a leaf down on the very bottom of the cup, just so that there's a little something there. And now we'll do the middles of the flowers. And with those, I don't do anything special. I pretty much just, not quite that much, put a little dot in the center. All right, I'll let it turn one more time. I think I got them all. So just for fun, I am going to go back in and just do some little accents. That one ended up having a little more than I meant to put in. And last one. All right, and that's it. That is mica drawing. So have fun, create. I'm sure that yours is gonna look better than mine. So I hope you all have a fantastic day, and I will talk to you later.